All right. They can't all be Picassos, right? Isn't that how the saying goes? We have our first game of the NHL season for the San Jose Sharks. And they win. 4-3 in the shootout. Now, if I just told you that, and you're satisfied with that, let me fade that out. We can move on, right? We don't need much more of an explanation than a 4-3 shootout win to open up the season in Arizona. And it's not bad considering that there was only 13 days of training camp, which was a couple more than most. No exhibition games, a lot of rust. You really did not know what to expect when the Sharks came out of the gate tonight, or really any team for their first game. And I think we are going to see some good teams really struggle, and I think we're going to see some bad teams just fall into a couple early wins. But all that considered, to have a 3-1 lead with 3.5 minutes left in regulation and not be able to close the door, I do think there is something significant to that. And I'll talk about it. And you know what else? I'm going to set a 10-minute timer here. Because I know myself, and I know when I start talking about this game log, which I do for every single game here, I know I get carried away. I know I'll instantly do 20 minutes. And apologies, by the way, because I won't necessarily be looking a ton here at the live chat, which I hope is going. I hope can get underway here pretty soon. But I won't exactly be all over that because I want to try and keep the train of thought moving here on the live stream. Anyway, solid overall win. Again, those final couple minutes, and I think it was really the Phil Kessel goal, 3.2 seconds left. Not so much part of it, the timing left of just ticks away. But the fact that he was just kind of loitering in front of Martin Jones, he was going unmarked, unchecked. Nobody was really, at that point, right, do anything to get him out of the way so that he does not create a deflection or, in this case, get a rebound opportunity. He did. And yeah, it's unfortunate. I guess you learn from it. And, for the Sharks, the worst part about tonight, and I hate to harp on the negative so much here immediately, but the worst part is you give the other team in your division a point, even though you still get your 2. And Arizona, let's be honest, just looking at them for the first time, they're not going to be a bad team in this division this season. They were in the playoffs last year, got into that first round. They're a team that, despite missing some pieces that they had last year, I still think they are on the right trajectory moving forward, getting better and not worse. They started the game slow. In the first period, obviously, Tomas Hertl with the first 2 goals of San Jose's season. I love to see it. I love to see the way he scored. He was getting those dirty goals. And actually, when you think about all the scoring in tonight's game, with the exception of Evander Kane's, kind of breakaway, there was nothing that was really pretty. Keller's goal certainly wasn't. Kessel's wasn't. Connor Garland's shot went off the stick of Brent Burns. It ramped up on Martin Jones. And I know we'll talk about Jonesy's night too, which I really do think overall was quite well, including the shootout. He won his team the game in the shootout. But Arizona came on as the periods went, got outshot pretty heavily in the first 13-8. And again, shot clock does not always translate into playing well or playing poorly, but you could kind of see them grasp the game in the second period, and the scoreboard reflected it. They got their power play goal. In that third period, they outshot San Jose 19-7. Now, 7 shots, a bit of a concern for the Sharks. 19, though, giving up 19. And yeah, they pulled Darcy Kemper with a couple minutes left, so they had some extra attacking time there at the end to kind of pad that up. But, look, Arizona got better as the game went on. I think if you're the Sharks having a 2-0 lead and eventually a 3-1 lead, you just would have liked to have massaged that game to a final score and a victory in regulation. But happy for Hertl, like I said. I think that's huge. Happy for Evander Kane. He was involved in all 3 scoring plays, the goal of his own, as well as assisting on both of the Hertl goals. And there's a little bit of a catch-22 there. Would I have liked to have seen Noah Gregor score tonight or somebody from the third line? Yeah, but I also liked the way they played. I also want to take this opportunity to point out Ryan Donato. Now, didn't score in the game, but his shootout move and the fact that Bob Bugner went to Donato first, I thought was pretty cool. First game, brand new team. They must have seen in training camp. Now they know that he's also kind of he's a goal scorer, but and he's got the moves, got the handles, little dangles there at the end, but I think what's really cool about that, they identified that in training camp and instantly in this first game got the opportunity for Bugner to tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, you're going first. And he went way left side on Darcy Kemper, almost to an angle where you're like, oh, he's going to run out of time and room. But he was just so patient, waited him out. Kemper went down, he went high. Thing of beauty. And not to mention, too, Logan Couture's backhand high shot. Maybe there was a little bit of a scouting report on Kemper because both the Sharks' shots and attempts and goals ended up high. Schmaltz scored on his shootout attempt. Connor Garland hit a post. And then Jones was able to stop Clayton Keller. So a relatively quick shootout win for the Sharks. And just going back to Martin Jones, we know in his past couple years, even first games, like of long seasons where he had a lot of success, first games sometimes were rough. I just like the fact that he started this season with this game. And although he did allow 3, I mean, the third one came with 3 seconds left, and he probably could have got some help there. And realistically, there was an extra attacker, on the ice for Arizona, right? So an odd-numbered situation. And how about this, too? I mean, the first goal he allowed off a San Jose stick, that was also on Arizona's power play. So I'm really only looking at the Clayton Keller goal and saying, not what happened there, but that's the only one that you can start to edge that direction. And even that, again, I'm looking at a pretty solid night for Jones. And I'm not the one to always say coulda, woulda, shoulda, but a few bounces go differently. I mean, how about the stop he made and the stop he was forced to make on Brassard on that 2-on-0 in overtime, a 2-on-0, and they weren't able to capitalize. So I'm going to give Martin Jones a lot of credit in that win. What else to talk about? How about the Sharks penalty kill? They were out there 4 times tonight, 3 for 4 on the PK. And we knew that was a strong point of their team last season. In fact, they were one of the best. It's crazy, right? They were one of the best last year shorthanded. And they were one of the worst at even strength defensively. And I do want to say this. They were so close to holding the opponent tonight to 2 or fewer. And I wanted to talk about that on the postgame show. Obviously, it didn't happen. We didn't get that opportunity. But I'm telling you this season, more often than not, the number that I want to look at is goals allowed by the Sharks in a game. I bet you. And look, some numbers are gonna lead you to the answer. If it's a 1 or a 2, you're led to believe that the Sharks won the game. But I bet you on most nights, I can look at how many goals the opponent scored and have a pretty good idea if the Sharks outdid them offensively and if they won the game or not. I think this year is largely going to be dictated by the Sharks' defensive efforts. And really, you didn't see, again, the Kessel out front thing at the last couple seconds. That was unfortunate. But it's those types of things that you don't want to see multiple times during the game. You don't want to see Arizona have multiple, like those 2-on-0s or odd man chances, a 3-on-1. You just do not want to see that happen over and over to the Sharks like it kind of did, last season. So their first game in 309 days, right? Now the Sharks 56 games in the next 114 days. I'm curious to see how this rematch goes on Saturday. I'm curious to see what teams around the league are going to do with their starting goalies and ones that have success. Like if you're Bob Bugner and you really like the way Martin Jones played tonight against Arizona, does it make sense to put Dubnyk in there for game 2? Or do you just say, hey, I want to put Jonesy right back in there again, and then I'll let Dubnyk deal with St. Louis, starting on Monday and then Wednesday? It's interesting, right? And these are things that we're going to learn over the course of a season, what teams think work the best, individual situations. I also really didn't know what to expect tonight. And I think I said this before. I didn't know what to expect from both teams having this expedited training camp. I thought the speed tonight of the game was not 100% of what you would normally expect, but I thought it was more than 80. It's probably more than 85. And again, it's hard to say that and not watch it in person. We all watched it on television here in California. But I would have to say that it was quicker than I thought, and it was cleaner than I thought from both sides. You didn't see a bunch of sloppy mistakes. I'll be honest. I thought we were going to see a relatively sloppy game. And just based on the scenario, right? Especially for San Jose, 10 months off, couple new players to the league. Hey, thrown right in there. This is how you're going to debut. So all in all, pretty good win. I think you have to just take that final 330, remember it for a bit, and also flush it out for a bit, because you got to get right back on the horse, and you can't dwell on that, and they won't dwell on that. But I do think it's worth noting tonight that it had all the makings of a feel-good first win. It kind of got taken away, and then it kind of got put half back in the bank when they ultimately won it in the shootout. So, anything else here to mention? I think that might be it. Penalty kill, talked about Kane. The Sharks are on track to go 56-0, by the way. Not sure if you know that. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Short seasons, it's imperative to get that hot start. But it's also critical to, when you have your rough stretches, to limit the damage, right? In a 56-game season, you're going to lose a couple in a row, but there's a huge difference between losing 2 or 3 in a row and losing 5 or 6 in a row. And I am really interested to see what happens when the Sharks face different stages of adversity in this season. I want to see what this group does. And I think they're capable of the rebound, even tonight. Lost a 2-goal lead with 3.5 minutes left. Play well enough in overtime, not just not to lose it, but to give your team chances to win in 3-on-3 hockey. Drew a penalty. They were 4-on-3 for a while in those 5 minutes. In fact, for the last, minute 47, and then ultimately win it in the shootout. They found a way to win. So we'll forget about that point they gave to Arizona. And look at this. I am so close right now to the 10-minute mark. 3, 2, 1. Oh, there it is. I kind of like that noise. All right, so that's it. That's the live stream. I don't know how often I'll be doing these after games. Not every game and situation might dictate it, but I definitely wanted to share some additional thoughts. There's something about the drive home that clears your mind and kind of resets things, helps you step back and look at things in a bigger perspective. So that's what I wanted to hear. On occasion, leave your comment down below. If you don't subscribe to the channel, what are you doing? How are you gonna see this next time? How will you know that this live stream after a game exists? You won't. So, what do they say? Hit the like button. Smash that subscribe button. I don't care about the bell thing. I don't like alerts on my phone either, so I'm not going to hold you to that. But subscribe before you leave, all right? And I'll talk to y'all soon. I will see you on Saturday. A little 12:30 pregame live before 1 o'clock puck drop.